Top stories this evening. President pledges unwavering adherence, and protesters gathered in New Haven, Connecticut to voice their opposition to a planned speech by Israel's National Security Minister.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to PSM News in English with me, Hafiz Abdusattar. And now the news in detail. President's office has announced that President Dr. Mohamed Muiz will undertake an official visit to Malaysia next week. The proposed visit, on invitation by Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, will take place from 27th to 30th April. This will be President Dr. Muiz's first official visit to Malaysia, aimed at further strengthening the long-standing and close cordial ties between the Maldives and Malaysia. During the visit, the President will meet with the Prime Minister and hold official talks focusing on enhancing bilateral cooperation, exchanging views on regional and global issues, and exploring new avenues for partnership between the two countries. Both leaders will also witness the signing of key memoranda of understandings and exchange of notes between the Maldives and Malaysia in some key areas. President Dr. Muiz will attend a business forum organized by the Ministry of Economic Development and Trade and engage with leading Malaysian investors. He will also be visiting the International Islamic University of Malaysia, IIUM, where he will deliver a lecture. The President is also set to engage with the Maldivian community residing in Malaysia, highlighting his dedication to the welfare and interest of Maldivians living abroad. During this meeting, he will listen to their concerns, understand their challenges, and explore ways to support and enhance their well-being. The President will be accompanied by a high-level delegation of cabinet ministers and senior government officials, it added. President Dr. Mohamed Muiz has publicly pledged unwavering adherence to the Constitution and the principles of the rule of law, guaranteeing impartial application of justice devoid of any discriminatory practices. His remarks delivered via social media reflect his administration's resolve to uphold equity within the Maldives' legal framework, irrespective of political ideology, wealth, or social status.
This assurance was underscored by Dr. Muiz's categorical declaration that no individual has been nor will be accorded preferential treatment under the law based on factors such as lineage, social standing, wealth, political affiliation or personal connections. He affirmed that discrimination would not be practiced in any form and underscored the government's commitment to enforcing the integrity of the rule of law without exception. The President's statement comes at a time of heightened public scrutiny following an incident on 18th April when a woman was discovered on the roof of a residence in Hemveru after reportedly falling. Preliminary investigation by Maldives Police Service MPS suggests that the woman fell on her own while intoxicated. Despite these findings, the circumstances surrounding the incident have sparked widespread public speculation. In response to the growing concerns, the MPS has sought to reassure the public of its impartiality in handling the case. Officials underscored that the investigation adhered strictly to procedural standards and affirmed that no discriminatory practices were employed.
The Ministry of Fisheries and Ocean Resources has held high-level consultations with senior officials from the Saudi Fund for Development, aiming to advance the nation's fisheries sector through targeted infrastructure development. The talks were a key highlight of the Saudi Fund delegation's ongoing visit to the Maldives. Building on the visit's significance, the ministry reported that discussions are focused on bolstering infrastructure essential to the fisheries sector. Officials also highlighted the importance of strengthening projects already supported by the Saudi Fund while exploring new opportunities to expand capacity and enhance operational effectiveness, the ministry said. Among the initiatives currently underway are 8 infrastructure projects financed with the Saudi Fund's assistance. These include the expansion of the harbour at the Kudu Fisheries Complex in Gulf Alif Atoll, managed by the Maldives Industrial Fisheries Company, MIFCO. Efforts are also directed at constructing ice plants across 5 islands and establishing cold storage facilities on 2 islands. The Maldives has reached a significant milestone in its healthcare development with the graduation of its first locally trained radiographers. 23 professionals who have successfully completed the Diploma in Radiography, a program initiated in collaboration with the state training organization SGO and GE Healthcare, a subsidiary of the United States-based General Electric.
The graduation ceremony, hosted at Villa College, highlighted the culmination of 2 years of dedicated effort. Officiating the event, the Minister of Health, Abdullah Nazim Ibrahim, underscored the critical value of camaraderie and collaboration in professional environments. His address also commended the decision to extend the program in partnership with the Maldives National University MNU, characterizing it as a transformative step towards bolstering the nation's healthcare capacity. According to STO, of the 25 students who initially enrolled, 23 persevered to complete the comprehensive curriculum. The program's inception was rooted in a study conducted by STO in partnership with GE Healthcare, which identified an acute need for skilled radiographers in the Maldives. STO's managing director, Shimat Ibrahim, reiterated the organization's commitment to advancing the nation's health sector, highlighting the importance of strategic initiatives and investment in local expertise. The Diploma in Radiography, designed to meet international standards, blended 2 years of theoretical instruction with 6 months of intensive practical training. Hands-on clinical experience was facilitated through partnerships with 5 leading hospitals in Male: Indira Gandhi Memorial Hospital, IGMH, ADK Hospital, Shanahiya Military Hospital, Treetop Hospital, and Hurumale Hospital. STO said, following the completion of their internships, the graduates were formally certified in February 2025. Celebrating academic excellence, Mariam Yumna and Aminat Iman emerged as top achievers, earning distinction for their outstanding performance. Their accolades were presented by STO Chairman Amir Mansoor. The successful execution of the course was recognized by STO, which confirmed that 2 graduates have already embarked on their careers while others are actively exploring employment opportunities.
Imams should be role models for the society, Masjid al-Nabawi's Imam Dr. Sheikh Salah Al-Budair has advised. He made the remarks while addressing a meeting held with young khatibs and imams of the Maldives as a part of his ongoing official visit to the archipelago. In his address, Sheikh Salah Al-Budair emphasized the role of imams in society, stating that imams should be exemplary role models who are fully accepted by the society. Imams should embody the highest standards of conduct, be kind to people, and promote goodness, he said. Noting the nobility of the position of imams, he advised against a behavior or speech that could create discord in the society. Dr. Salah Al-Budair said it is essential for imams to seek and acquire knowledge and comprehensively learning and mastering the rules of prayer and all aspects of the religion. Imams should be careful to follow the Sunnah and lead prayers in moderation, he advised. The Imam of the Holy Mosque also advised imams to avoid sharing and commenting on matters that are unrelated to their role as imams when using social media. Urging to follow the instructions of relevant authorities, the Sheikh said the responsibility of Imam and Khatib is a great responsibility that must be fulfilled with utmost dedication. The National Bank, a Bank of Maldives, BML, has assured its customers that they will not suffer any financial losses even if their card information is compromised.
BML said the bank's card and financial transaction systems are designed in line with international security standards for financial transactions, with verification system and multi-factor authentication in place for online financial transactions. However, in cases where foreign currency transactions are hacked and cardholder information is disclosed, it may be exposed on public domains. The bank won't. Similar situations have been encountered by millions of customers of card issuers across the world, the BML said. BML said the bank will be familiar with situations where various foreign currency transactions are hacked and information is disclosed. The bank said that the security of the card is monitored vigilantly for any disclosure of card information. BML added that in the event of information disclosure or data compromise, the bank will immediately block the card and issue a new card. If any financial loss is caused to customers in such situations, the bank said they will be given the opportunity to dispute the transaction and recover the lost funds. BML reaffirmed its commitment to ensuring safety and security of money in online transactions through the bank.
The government has spent $180.9 million on subsidies so far this year, a 0.36% decrease compared to the same period last year.
According to the latest weekly fiscal report released by Ministry of Finance and Planning, a total of $178.97 million was spent on grants, contributions and subsidies as of 17th April, in comparison to $181.56 million in the same period last year, which is a decrease of 0.36%. Among grants, contributions and subsidies accounted for the largest expenditure, with $63.99 million spent on subsidies. In comparison, the government spent $77.83 billion on subsidies during the same period last year. Although spending on subsidies has declined, spending on National Health Insurance Scheme ASANDE has increased significantly. While $43.5 million has been spent on ASANDE so far this year, this amount was $35.92 million last year. Therefore, this year's figure is a 21% rise compared to the previous year. Meanwhile, grants to local councils declined by 4.5% compared to the same period last year. This year, $34.87 million has so far been disbursed to councils as grants, while $36.54 million was issued for the purpose during the same period last year. The Ministry of Finance said the significant decline in expenditure on subsidies was due to lower expenditure on fuel import subsidies as a result of lower oil prices in the global market. As of 17th April, 19.3% of the total state budget approved by the Parliament for this year has been utilized. While recurrent expenditure accounted for 92.2% of the expenses, capital expenditure accounted for 7.8%. Therefore, the total recurrent and capital expenditure of the government decreased by 25.3% this year compared to the same period last year. According to the report, the government has received 29.3% of the total revenue and grants included in the budget as of April 17th. This is an increase of 5.4% over the same period last year. Tax revenue accounted for 77.1% of the revenue and grants received so far, while non-tax revenue accounted for 22.3%.
Wall Street stocks advances on revived hopes for progress in the U.S.-China trade dispute and President Donald Trump asserted fears the Federal Reserve could lose its autonomy, with reassurances that he has no intention of firing Fed Chair Jerome Powell.
All three major U.S. stock indexes paired gains by the closing bell. They gathered momentum during the session after Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said high tariffs between the U.S. and China were unsustainable, and Trump signaled he was open to easing trade tensions between the world's two largest economies. Late on April 22nd, Trump dialed back his attacks on the Fed, which included threats to fire Powell. Most investors viewed the central bank chief as a stabilizing force in the market, which has been rattled by Trump's chaotic trade policy. First quarter earnings season has hit full stride, with 110 of the companies in the S&P 500 having reported. Of those, 75% have beaten Wall Street estimates, according to LSEG. Analysts now see aggregate S&P 500 earnings growth of 8.4% for the January to March period, up from an even 8.0% as of April 1st per LSEG. Tesla shares jumped after Chief Executive Officer Elon Musk said he would significantly scale back his work with the Trump administration to devote more time to running his companies. Even so, the electric car maker posted a 71% plunge in quarterly net profit. Boeing reported a smaller than expected quarterly loss as the plane maker produced and delivered more aircraft, sending its shares higher. General Dynamics posted a 27% increase in first quarter profit on sustained defense demand, but the company's business jet orders fell from the previous quarter. Its shares lost ground on the day.
Protesters gathered in New Haven, Connecticut, to voice their opposition to the planned speech by Israel's National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir.
Waving Palestinian flags and chanting slogans such as Free, Free Palestine, the demonstrators include Yale activists, local Palestinians, and anti-Zionist Orthodox Jews. Rabbi Yisrael David Weiss, representing Neturei Karta International, sharply criticized Ben-Gvir, stating, quote, "He is the agent of Satan, the agent of the Zionist state of Israel," end quote. The minister's visit to a Yale-based Jewish society and the protest against it underscored tensions surrounding universities in the U.S.
In the city of Gamishli in northeast Syria, civilians are undergoing an extensive training to learn how to use weapons and protect their neighborhoods from potential attacks, according to locals.
Nabil Ismail, who has been assigned by the Kurdish administration to train civilians on defense and weapon use, said the initiative came in response to the recent violence in the Syrian coast where hundreds of Alawites were killed in early March in apparent retribution for a deadly ambush on Syria's new security forces by armed loyalists to toppled Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, an Alawite. Nabil added that agreements signed by the Kurdish authorities and the Syrian government do not mean that people trust foreign fighters who are accused of taking part in the violence. The Kurdish-led and U.S.-backed Syrian Democratic Forces, which controls much of Syria's oil-rich northeast, signed a deal with the Damascus government last month to join Syria's new state institutions. Qamishli residents also trained on how to inspect cars entering their city at checkpoints. The West is watching Syria's leaders closely to ensure they rein in the Islamist fighters who killed hundreds of Alawites, create an inclusive government with effective institutions, maintain order in a country fractured by years of civil war, and prevent a resurgence of Islamic State or Al-Qaeda. Thousands of Sunni Muslim foreigners from countries including China, Albania, Russia, and Pakistan joined Syria's rebels early in the civil war to fight against the rule of Bashar al-Assad and the Iran-backed Shiite militias who supported him, giving the conflict a sectarian overtone. After dissolving Syria's army, Syrian President Ahmed al-Sharaa now depends on a relatively small force of some 20,000 fighters from several disparate groups, including foreigners, according to two assessments by Western governments. Diplomats and analysts warn that this issue makes Sharaa reliant on the tens of thousands of fighters from other groups, including the very hardline jihadist factions he is being asked to combat, and moving against them could plunge Syria back into civil war. Northeast Syria's security situation is also likely to be affected by the planned drawdown of U.S. troops stationed in the zone. The U.S. military has about 2,000 U.S. troops in Syria across a number of bases, mostly in the northeast. The troops are working with local forces to prevent a resurgence of Islamic State, which in 2014 seized large swaths of Iraq and Syria but was later pushed back. The Pentagon said earlier this month it was planning to bring those troop numbers to around 1,000.
Veteran Aussie surfer Sally Fitzgibbons causes the biggest upset of 2025 by taking down reigning world champion and reigning Rip Curl Pro Belts beat champ Katie Simmers at Winky Pop.
Fitzgibbons, in her 15th outing at Bells, where she ranks third all-time for heat wins, conceded to some sleepless nights after being drawn against Simmers. Fitzgibbons was glad that her time had come as she ensured Aussie flag flying high in the quarterfinals. After the elimination of the world #1 American Simmers earlier in the day, Hawaii's Gabriela Bryan needed to overcome Nadia Erostarb of Spain in Heat 5 to claim the top spot on the rankings and the yellow jersey for the first time in her career. A dominant showing from Bryan helped her top the leaderboard. Brazil's Luana Silva, Australia's Tyler Wright, Hawaii's Betty Lou Sakura Johnson too booked their last 8 berths. In the men's round of 32 competition, 2023 Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach winner Australia's Ethan Swing and Olympic silver medalist Kanoa Igarashi of Japan advanced to the round of 16.
And that's all we have for this hour. Thank you for watching. Wish you all a very pleasant time ahead.
दिवे बहा तारिकिया सगाफता बे वजीर आदम नसीर इब्राहिम आतिफुन एब्द सवाल करो बेन पुतो बिफारु गा हा फरगु मिवानी बिफस तुवाले फा बेन फुवा कम वानवा अगुतु हम सवाल फरो बिंदवी पीएसएम गे
आवगन मेंगना तेरेगा फुप्पा में दिजे बलतका